is based on the emotion first, and then the song is created around that.
So you're getting better at writing.
Yeah.
I guess.
Kind of, yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, that makes
I
sense.
don't know if it's necessarily better, but it's a different way of
It's
writing.
different. Okay, yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the ATG podcast. This is episode 18. I'm joined with my co-host, Natty Ducks.
Hello.
And we got a very special episode here today because we got somebody we put on our list when we first created the podcast. I'd like to welcome Tyler Booth from Cigar Club.
What's going on, Natty Ducks and Titanium Zombie, aka Ryder, aka ATG community?
Yes.
Yeah, what's up?
So this is actually a long time coming. I mean, when we first made the podcast back in March or April, me and Natty wrote down a small list of people we wanted to bring on. And it was, I think the two people I wrote down was you and my dad, which we brought on in episode 6. And a fun fact about that episode, actually, I don't know if anyone caught this when we recorded it. He was actually wearing a Cigar Club shirt throughout his interview.
Yeah,
I saw that.
Yeah, because he was like, "Yeah, well, I know you're gonna bring Tyler on, so I wanted to, like promote his episode and promote his band in my episode." And I was like, "That's pretty funny." So, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. We're gonna talk about some of the songs and some of the stuff you guys have worked on over the years. I know Natty's done a little bit of research. I got some songwriting questions I want to throw at you as well. So. But first, we always do a game on our episodes. We kind of do something to help.
Before we do the game, we made a note specifically about this.
I forgot about it again.
It was in bold on our notes. Tyler.
Yeah.
Can you explain who you are, what you do to the
people who don't know? Thank you. Thank you,
people who don't know. Yeah.
Oh, to the ATG listeners. Yeah. So I play in a band called Cigar Club, and currently I'm one of the 4 members. We've been playing for a pretty long time now. We play a lot of shows in Canada. And we got 2 albums out. There's another album coming out. We play rock music, but our genre kind of changes here and there.
Yep.
Yeah. And
I also help manage the band, so kind of like involved with the management and the art creation, all aspects.
Okay.
And that's basically a summary.
Awesome.
And I also want to say, for anyone that didn't know, Tyler and TZ are both cousins.
Yes.
To get that out of the way.
Yeah.
I don't think we explained that, but
it's important to mention probably.
Yeah. So if there's any sort of thing that's some knowledge you might want to know. Anyway, just want to get that out of the way.
All right, now we can move on to the game. I totally forgot about that. Yeah, no, it's funny that we put that bold. I completely read over that. Yeah, it's important that we get the introduction out of the way. All right, so we'll move on to the game. So we always do a game at the beginning of our episodes to help kind of break the ice. And I thought I would do mine a little bit more music related. So to help theme the episode a little bit. So the game we got is build a band. So what I'm going to be doing here, I got a list of a bunch of popular bands over. It's got the Beatles to Nirvana to Maroon 5. So I got tons of bands in here. I'm going to give you a band, and you got to pick a member of that band to be in your band. If that makes any sense. So we're building some. Yeah. So let's say
build the best band.
Yeah, you want to build the best band. So I'll spin the wheel, and Tyler, you're going to go first, and you have to pick somebody who's known for playing that band or pick that instrument in that band. So let's say we pick the Beatles. You have to pick a singer, a guitarist, a bass player, and a drummer. So you get to pick one person from the Beatles to be in your band, and then we'll move on to Natty, and then back and forth until you guys have your bands, and then we'll talk about that. Yeah.
Sure. I got a question though.
Yeah.
What if I don't know any of the members in the band? And
Great
what if
question.
I don't want them in my band?
So if you don't want them in your band, too bad. Too bad. And if you don't know, that's fine. We're going to put it on screen anyway. I'm going to Google it afterward. And we'll
you could just say, like, the bass player.
We'll put it on screen for the YouTube listeners. If you're on Spotify, sorry. I guess. Sorry, I guess.
One other clarifying thing is it doesn't necessarily have to be the instrument that they're most known for if they play other instruments as well. So, like, if there was Nirvana and there was like you could
Dave
put
Grohl.
Dave Grohl as
you could put him as
drums
singer,
or
guitarist,
put him as
or
singer
drummer,
or guitarist
because he has
sort of
technically
thing.
done everything.
You
And
could put Ringo as vocalist,
you could put
like that sort of
Paul
thing.
McCartney pretty much anywhere if you want.
That's true.
He's pretty much a free slot. Oh, and then there's also a free pick in here as well that I doubt we'll get to pull because there's a lot of options. But if you get that one, you just pick anybody you want for whatever slot. So, all right, Tyler, we'll let you go first.
Sounds good.
Sorry, Natty, you say but?
No, I'm just saying we'll go.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Tyler, we'll let you go first. You get first pick. Let me just spin the wheel and we'll see what we get here.
Drum roll.
Is this a real wheel or is this?
I have a wheel going.
Wheel?
Yeah, I have a wheel going.
Yeah, it's a wheel going.
There's no way I'm pulling this one first. Okay. So Tyler, your first band is Young Country. Wow. Oh my God.
Wow.
This is not rigged.
Out of all of the bands,
Young Country.
There's 30 bands in here.
Okay, so if we're gonna, what are we doing? Are we doing like the current lineup, Young Country, the old lineup, Young Country?
I'll let you choose. You could choose anyone from the roster.
Anyone from Young Country.
That is hilarious.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna pick Chad Slade because everybody knows Chad Slade here.
For what? What? You picking him for guitarist, singer?
Well, he's gonna be the lead. He's just gonna be singer.
Okay.
Chad Slade straight up as the singer.
That's
all right. There you go.
Cannot write
That's gonna be my pick.
I'm gonna mute this. All right. All right, Natty.
We got the first one.
That's amazing that came out first one. I'm blown away. All right, Natty's pick is going to be Van Halen.
Van Halen. Eddie Van Halen on guitar.
All right.
Well, now you just win the game.
Yeah, it's a pretty good pick, not gonna lie.
That's a good pick. All right.
I mean, there's a lot of bands in here, to be fair.
Yeah, so after a band is picked, it's removed from the list. So you can't get anyone else from that band, right? So now Young Country's gone and Van Halen's gone. So we move on. We got 27 picks left. And now we move back to Tyler. Let's see. So his singer is gone. You got to get a guitarist, a bass player, and a drummer. And you are getting the Eagles, it looks like. Yes, the Eagles.
Oh, nice. Well, what if I want like a keyboard player?
That's not technically on here, but
I think maybe if you wanted,
you could probably take one for the guitar. Yeah, you could take one for the guitar, I guess.
Instead, if you wanted, but.
And you know what? Good combo with Chad Slade, actually, the Eagles. I will say.
Yeah, I'm trying to think who I want. Who's their drummer? Don Henley, is that their drummer? The guy who sings Hotel California.
I think that's Don Henley. Yeah.
All right, Don Henley as the drummer.
All right, so we got a drummer and you got your singer. I'm still blown away that we pulled out Young Country first pick.
I don't know.
Sorry. All right, we move back to Natty. All right, we're gonna pick your band now. That's wild.
I'm starting off strong, to be fair.
Oh, okay. And so Natty got Maroon 5.
Oh, okay.
You sound sad.
No, not at all. No.
He sounds really sad.
This is interesting.
I mean, I feel like you just got to pick Adam Levine.
I think that's a solid pick. With Eddie Van Halen, though, kind of could be.
He's a really good singer, right?
Could be good, yeah.
He is.
I feel like everybody else in that band, I don't know.
That's true.
I feel like he's kind of the rock star,
band, essentially. Yeah,
and exactly, and he's holding it all together.
Yeah, I'll pick Adam Levine.
All right,
as the lead singer.
All right. You sounded so sad for that pick. I just want to say we were one pick away from picking Cigar Club there, by the way. I was really close to getting both.
Imagine.
All right, we move back to Tyler. You got your guitarist and bass player left. And your pick is going to be this is interesting, actually. You got Rush.
Oh.
Rush.
Okay, so guitarist and bass player. I mean, both them, bass player and guitarist, are really good.
Rush is a crazy band, to be fair.
That's a good band to get, actually. For an instrument.
Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson.
Either one's a good pick for this.
Yeah.
I think it's hilarious that you got Rush and Young Country. By the way, that's just
yeah.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna put Geddy Lee in my band, so then Chad Slade gets upset because he doesn't like him.
He doesn't like Rush. It's the Lord. It's so true.
They play guitar, right, or the bass.
I think they're
Geddy Lee plays bass, yeah, but he also sings. So right now I got a lineup of 3 potential singers.
That's
as well.
true.
So we're
true.
forming a
choir,
3-way harmony, possibly 4-way.
So I cannot wait to hear my dad's reaction to that. All right, we move back to Natty. You need a drummer and a bass player. Tons of great picks left. Let's see who we pull here. We got. Oh, okay. Wow, Natty.
Yeah.
You are getting AC/DC.
AC/DC. Mm. Here's the I'm gonna go. Oh, I can't go guitar. I already have.
No, yeah, you already have Van Halen.
I already have Eddie Van Halen, which is a sick pick.
That's a good pick.
With the drummer. With the drummer, right? That's the only.
I feel like that makes the most amount of sense out of
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I'll go.
All right.
Because you have a singer and you have a guitar player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think either way is good. You know, AC/DC, the rhythm section is solid.
Yeah, that's true.
It is. All right.
You're building a pretty good rock band, actually. You got Van Halen, AC/DC, Maroon 5, or Adam Levine singing.
Yeah.
That's pretty good rock band, actually. All right, Tyler, you need a guitar player.
All right.
That's it. Well, I mean, I'm tied. Whatever band I draw now is just I have to pick.
And so you are getting CCR.
CCR. Okay, well, I don't know what their guitar player's name is, but I'll take him.
You're like, bring him in.
The only person I can name is John Fogerty, to be honest with you.
Yeah, we have a very different like genres of music that we're doing.
You got like definitely like a not like a classic country rock vibe to your band. And Natty's got like a rock band building. All right, now let's see who your last pick is going to be for your bass player. We're coming around. Oh, you can't write this. I'm telling you, you can't. All right, you got Cigar Club.
All right, we'll go with Jeff.
What? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Hey man, we'll take it. We'll take it.
That's a really good bass player. So it's a good,
I'm telling
good
you,
pick.
You can't write the fact that I put
Cigar
Club and Young Country in.
Cigar Club and Young Country.
There's so many other bands here. There's 21 bands left.
Hey man, we'll take it.
That's awesome. All right.
So with those bands, do you guys TZ, who do you think has the best band if you had to guess?
They're so different. I think they're both
really
really good.
I think both picks. I mean, I would listen to either of them.
Either one sounds really good. Yeah.
Maybe the listeners, the ATG listeners, if you guys leave comments down below.
Let us know who your favorite band is.
Any name ideas for the bands?
That's amazing.
Be funny puns or something. I don't know. I'd love to.
I'm blown away that we pulled both Cigar Club and Young Country.
I know. Okay, I can't believe it.
All right, we'll move on.
And a sandwich, the first and last pick.
And Rush too, by the way, just to add.
And Rush. That's amazing. On Chad Slade's.
All right, so let's move. We're gonna move on to the real, meat and potatoes of the episode, I guess.
That's what we say.
So now I know Natty's done a ton of research. I know he's looked up a ton of stuff. He's been listening to the Cigar Club list
really great music
for the last little while. So he's probably got tons of questions. But I mean, I think we'll start off with the first question. Give us the backstory of where Cigar Club came from. I think it said on the website you guys started in 2016, right?
Yeah.
So what's the story behind there?
I'll give you my story. I mean, everybody kind of has a story in the band of how it started. So my story is I went to a bar to an open mic, and I met this guy, Dan, who plays in the band now. He actually formed Cigar Club, and he was looking to build the band at the time, and he already talked to Jeff. I think he talked to Trevor, or he was in the process of getting a singer, and he needed a drummer, and he met me, and I told him I was interested, but I was playing in a metal band at the time, and I was going to school, and I had no time to juggle another band on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up kind of giving him a name of a guy I went to school with and who was really good at drums, Simon, and they ended up teaming up and they formed Cigar Club.
Mm-hmm.
And Cigar Club played their first show. I went to their first show. It was awesome. And I think it was about a year went by, and I went to another show of theirs, and they went through another drummer. And at that time too, they were kind of going through this weird phase. Like they weren't as tight, and it just seemed like I don't know. There was something missing. And when I went to go see that show, I had a bunch of ideas about how I could kind of maybe like elevate the rhythm parts. So I ended up messaging Dan, and I had more time at that point, and I sent him this message. I was typing out this message on Messenger, essentially saying to him that I wanted to join, and if he had any demos that he could send them to me, and I could kind of show him my ideas. Like even if I wasn't a part of the band, I at least have these ideas I want to give to them. Like maybe they can use it in production or something.
Yeah.
And as soon as I went to go send that message, like I was literally about to hit send, he sent me a message, and he said that their drummer left, and they're looking for somebody else.
That's
and
crazy.
if I was
That's
interested.
kind of wild.
Timing.
Yeah,
That's
and then so
timing-wise,
I replied to that. I was like, man, this is crazy. Like I
was
was
just
literally
writing
just
up this
about to
message.
send you a message.
Yeah.
That's
And then
crazy.
the rest is history, as they say. And yeah, that's how it was formed.
That's wild.
I have a question. How did you get into like music and like the drums initially? Like when did you start playing drums and doing all that sort of stuff?
Great question.
Yeah, so yeah, that is a good question. I actually started playing drums. Well, I played drums a really long time ago, probably when I was like 2, 3,
Oh,
4 years old, with my dad and my uncle. They played in a band, so I was always exposed to instruments and practicing and music in general. So I had this understanding of drumming and guitars and playing live. I actually first was brought onto the guitar from Chad, and I tried to play that for a little bit, and I had some lessons, and I was always interested in live music, and I liked rock music. Like I really like to watch Eddie Van Halen and Angus Young
Mm-hmm.
and these like
my
virtuoso
band member.
rock guitar players. Yeah, and so I was always like gravitating towards rock and guitar, but
Yeah.
when I started playing guitar, I just like it didn't really stick with me. Like I liked it, but it didn't really stick, and I wanted to play the drums. And at that time, I was going to school. I was in elementary school, and when you go to band, you have to pick your instruments. And I really wanted to play the drums. I remember it was grade 5, and grade 5s weren't allowed to play the drums. Actually, it was only grade 6s. If you were in grade 6, you were allowed to play drums. And I was in grade 5.
That's crazy.
And my teacher told us, okay, you have to pick another instrument. So I picked the trumpet, and essentially I just complained so much that she put me on drums. She just put me on drums. I was like, I don't like this. Like I suck at this. Like I know I'm gonna be better on drums. So just put me on drums. And she put me on drums, and I was great. Like it was it was very natural for me with rhythm.
I get you.
And
I get that.
that's where I started.
Yeah. I like to say I don't think you know this. I'm actually a drummer myself as well. So
Oh, sweet.
I play drums, so definitely can whenever I listen to any of your music, I can really pick up on all of those little rhythms that you have in there. But yeah, I
Oh, I
know I
appreciate
also
that.
had a similar experience also in my band class where like I was put on the trombone and
It's always
I
a
was
wind
pretty bad
instrument.
at
It's
it.
always a wind instrument.
Yeah.
It's
It's
never
not a
something
wind
fun like
instrument,
the.
no?
Oh,
It'd be a horn or
okay,
brass
whatever.
instrument.
You know what I mean.
Anyway,
You
hey,
know.
I get what you mean. I get what you mean. But I was like getting the timing right, but the notes were apparently way off. So my I was put on a snare drum, and then from there it just kept going. So similar sort of thing, but yeah, um, drums. Yeah, that's all I
Absolutely.
got. That's really cool though.
Start somewhere.
I mean, another. I mean, we got tons of stuff written down in here, but I mean, one question I know me and Natty were talking about beforehand. We were saying, I mean, you talked about Eddie Van Halen, talking about Angus Young, but who would you say are Cigar Clubs and your like biggest inspirations when it comes to the music you guys make?
Yeah. So, like, I don't want to speak for the guys because all of us really have different musical tastes, and I think that's why I really appreciate our band is because we come from these different backgrounds and perspectives of what we like in music, and we can find this commonality between all of it, and then that's the music that we write. For me, I was really influenced by metal music because my family and just early on, that's what I was kind of positioned into. And so I listened to Metallica a lot when I was a kid, and Slayer and Megadeth and Anthrax, like all these thrash metal bands. That was kind of like the foundation of my drumming. And then it evolved. Like at that time too, I was still listening to like Van Halen, and I liked AC/DC. I liked all the harder stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
So anything with like a solid hard backbeat and quickness, like the fastness of like Alex Van Halen or something like Metallica. I was really into that kind of style. So for me, that's kind of where I pull my influences are from my metal roots. But on top of that, Led Zeppelin has been a huge influence for me. So their kind of classic rock take, but it's groovy in a sense, and it kind of has this like folk theme to it, overlaying on top of all of it is it's also an influence that I have. So I kind of take all that and apply it to my drumming. And that's kind of the foundation. But then on top of that, there's like new bands that come out, like there's like Royal Blood, or there's a new band that's been around, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizards, or Mac DeMarco. These are all bands now that are kind of influencing my songwriting and my approaches as well.
Yeah, you got to look at what's current
because
too,
I
right?
it's ever evolving, but
Absolutely.
the foundation kind of lies in those fundamental rock and metal bands that I used to listen to.
Well, I just wanted to kind of go back on what some of you said there, because you said that you all have different music tastes, and then would you say that's part of the reason that Cigar Club's theme and tone changes all the time, because you guys all have very different backgrounds in music?
Yeah, I think really that probably is why. We all kind of have a say in the songwriting process.
Yep.
Some of the songs are written by individuals, and they just kind of are brought to the band, and then we add on top of it. Sometimes it's like a riff, and then it's another riff added, and another riff, and another riff, right? So it becomes more collaborative. But just like I was saying, like our musical influences and what our tastes are evolve over time. So depending on like what year or when during the year or what we're listening to, it might influence like the way it comes out. And for all of us, a commonality is that we don't just like one type of music. So we're not all just like strictly into rock music, or like we don't all listen to metal, or we're not all into just like Neil Young. It's like it's all over the place. So
which is important though, because you get a little
with
bit of everything.
Yeah. So if you come with a soft song, like we're all going to kind of like it, but maybe some of us are going to like it more than others. Or we come with a hard song, same thing, but there's usually nothing that we can bring that somebody's like not into. Or doesn't want to try to experiment with it.
That kind of perfectly moved into my songwriting question, actually, because I mean, my question was, I know for me when I write stuff, it's mainly about it's either like I'll just be playing something, I'll be like, oh, that sounds cool, or it'll be I have an idea of what I want to write about. So I wanted to ask, where does that process start and where does that happen? Like, and you kind of answered it with, sometimes people show up, sometimes they just they it starts with a riff and then moves into other things. So yeah, perfect, yeah. So awesome.
Yeah, it's honestly any idea.
Yeah.
The way that I look at it is like any idea can become a song. Even if it's a melody, even if you're humming a melody, that can be the start of a song or a concept, or even a drum beat. Like I think we've wrote songs off of a drum beat before, off of lyrics, off of riffs, just concepts. Like now we're kind of exploring this thing of like concepts, like the concept of like sadness or the concept of like upbeat. Like now we're trying to like write songs like that where we have like a theme that we want to that we want to embody in the song. So before it used to be like more rhythmically and I guess like musically driven, and now it's like more emotionally driven. Like some of the stuff that we're writing is based on the emotion first, and then the song is created around that.
So you're getting better at writing.
Yeah,
I guess.
Kind of, yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
I don't know if it's necessarily better, but it's a different way of writing.
It's different. Okay, yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
All right, Natty. Well, do you want to hit him with a question?
Yeah. Okay, sure.
You've been quiet. You've been quiet. I just like picking it.
Look, I'm just listening. This is all good stuff. Okay.
No worries. No worries.
So you obviously talked about how you guys are currently writing. So when did you say you joined, like, as the drummer?
2017.
Okay.
So that would have been so you were definitely there for like the Cigar Club EP for sure, and all the different albums you had, right?
Yeah, we started recording after I joined.
I see. So what was it like recording like the first EP, the Cigar Club one, or even the guys LP Day Now?
Good question is
Sure.
how what was different from the first time to like Day Now?
Yeah.
Okay.
What changed?
Yeah. So from the EP to the LP, the main thing that we did differently was that we did a live off the floor tracking of the bed tracks. So when we did the EP, we actually did individual recordings of everybody. And so there was kind of this like separation of each member. Disconnect. Yeah, exactly. So we did like a scratch track, and then we had a metronome, and then based on that, I recorded the drums, and then we recorded the bass guitar, and then the guitars went on top of that. We recorded vocals, and then we did backup vocals, and then we added everything after that. So like any solos, any percussion, all that. So that was the EP. For the LP, Day Now, we wanted a different approach. So we wanted to do it live off the floor because we didn't think that recording separately really encapsulated the energy and what we were trying to express.
Well, you lose
truly,
the chemistry.
like to the full extent, to the songs. And so that actually allowed this like more cohesive version of our songs to be recorded, and it actually let us kind of subtly, I guess, like adapt to each other's cues in the room while we were recording. We didn't record with a metronome either, so it just kind of made it more natural.
Which is important.
And I think it is. And I think when you listen to the songs too, if you do like listen with an intent ear, you can kind of hear that in the recording and in the actual songs themselves. Just kind of the flow is a little different. It doesn't seem as robotic in a sense, you could say, or scripted. So that was the main difference when we did the EP and the LP.
Oh, that's really cool. And then as you said, now you're kind of doing.
And so you followed that into with like some of the new singles like Dark Market and Ocean Potion and all that. So like, that's all stayed the same, or has it changed again?
Yeah, we did the live off the floor bed tracking.
Yeah,
But
it's probably
I
just
do
more
think
fun
that
too, I would imagine, because then you're all in the room and you kind of joke around too, right?
Yeah.
yeah, it is more fun, I would say. But I think there is like a time and place for like doing that and doing the individual tracking. I think it really
Yep.
does depend on the song
Mm-hmm.
and what you're trying to accomplish with the
Yeah.
recording. I think for us, like at that time, we were just kind of experimenting too. Like the EP was the first time we all recorded together,
Mm-hmm.
right? I recorded previously in a studio with my other bands, but I don't think everybody in Cigar Club recorded before at that time. So that was like our first experience. And I think that was probably the easiest thing to do was to isolate yourself in a room because the thing is when you do bed tracks, if one person messes up,
Yeah.
everybody has to restart.
Yep.
So when you isolate everybody, you have unlimited attempts.
Yeah.
Um, so that's an upside to it. Uh, but you can also get around that, like when you record as a group too. Like if the mess up isn't too bad, you can always re-record your stuff. Like
Yep.
that's the magic of the studio. You can always re-record your stuff. There's a way to layer tracks, right? It's like it's not like we're recording with tape anymore where it's just like you have a certain amount
Yeah.
and once you run out, you're done. That's it. That's all
Yeah.
you have. You only
It's not
have
like when we
4
recorded with the
channels, right?
BR8
Yeah.
Yeah.
with
You
the
only have one
that
take.
was awful. Uh,
Do you want to
yeah,
talk about that?
yeah, no, yeah. When we recorded Cottage Bound for in the shed on Dad's BR8, and I just remember you came over to do the drums, and you're like, oh yeah, I'll listen to it, and if I mess up, it's okay. And Dad was like, well, no, we only have so many minutes, and yeah,
We can't mess up.
we can't mess up.
You're like,
We only
oh,
have so many minutes on the zip drives.
That's
Yeah,
it.
that's an old system. I mean, that system's older than me, so yeah.
yeah.
That's,
Very,
I mean,
very different.
considering though, I think it came out pretty good, and consider we're using vocal mics for the drums.
Oh yeah. It came out as good as it could come out.
For the janky setup. Yeah, no, it came out as good as it could be. So what would you say? Where is your favorite place to perform live, or what was the most memorable
Like
place
favorite
to
memory,
perform
yeah.
live? Because you played live a lot. I mean, that's a lot of big bands play
Yeah.
live. I don't know. It's
Yeah, so memorable in terms of like memorable places that we've played. Uh I think one of the most memorable places we've played is either the El Macombo in
mm-hmm,
Toronto or the Horseshoe Tavern in Toronto.
mm-hmm.
Specifically, the Horseshoe Tavern was a very memorable experience because that night we technically got banned from the Horseshoe Tavern
Okay.
for playing overtime. It was a whole situation. Honestly, it was kind of weird. I think we were at fault, but at the same time, the sound guy was kind of a little agitated.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
with us, I think just in general. And it led to us getting banned. But we played there again after that, so we're not technically banned.
Okay.
But he did tell us we were banned. Um, we just played overtime, so it was
Yeah.
it was
Well,
memorable. It was a good learning experience to know that okay, we kind of have to respect people's time here because
there's curfews, right? But
it's
especially down in cities, right?
exactly, yeah,
People have to
and
go to bed and
it's
get up to go to
not.
work next day or whatever.
But the thing is like the people wanted to hear more music, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
we're
Like,
there to
give the
provide
people
the
what they
music.
want. Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah, you're
sound
there
guy
to
wanted to
provide
shut
music,
down the
so
music. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's not like we went over time by a significant amount, and it wasn't that it was like 12, 1 o'clock. You know what I mean? It's like we were still within the time of
yeah.
events happening in Toronto. So
Yeah.
it was just this whole
Yeah.
I get it.
fiasco.
I'll ask this question
But
before.
yeah,
I know we want to talk about some of the songs. I know Natty wants to talk about, but
Yeah.
first I want to ask, what's your favorite story to tell from the band?
favorite story.
Or is it that one? Or is it the one you just told?
The one where you got.
I mean, honestly, the story of how it was formed is a good story
Yeah,
because just the coincidence of Dan sending me a message at the same time.
absolutely.
Yeah. That's so
that is really
that's
cool.
just so rare, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the Horseshoe Tavern was a good one. Um, I think when we did our first tour, well, actually, this is a pretty good story. I think it's good for bands to hear. Um, but when we did our first tour, I think you really realize like how hard it is to be in a band
Mm-hmm.
because on top of, well, for us, like we're working and we're doing this,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's like there's so many stresses that get in the way of what you're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to go from Toronto to London and you got to go to
Yeah, yeah.
Windsor, and then in between that time frame it's like, okay, how are you going to get there? Like where are you going to stay? How are you going to pay
Hotels, you
for
gotta worry
these
about it.
things,
Yeah.
right? Like, are you going to practice? Are you going to have time to practice? Are you going to be able to do a line check? Like, do you
Mm-hmm.
have guitars set up ready to go? Like, are you going to break a string? All these things, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
it really puts things into perspective, and it makes you realize like how tight knit you have to be and collaborative,
Mm-hmm.
because it's not just you're not just like writing music at that point. At that point, you're like a team. Like you're
Yeah,
really
yeah.
a team trying to go and like accomplish something, and you have to kind of support one another. And I just remember like things just hitting the fan when we were doing the Day Now tour. Like couldn't get into our Airbnb.
Oh yeah.
Dan's car broke down. We actually had like a death in the family at that point too, while we were driving to one of our events.
Mm.
Um, so all these things kind of happen, and you have to really like watch out for one
Yeah, yeah.
another, because it can easily fall apart so
Yeah.
quickly. You don't want that to happen on stage, and it totally sets the mood of your performance. Like maybe the audience doesn't see it as much, but like for you, you're going on stage, you have to perform, but you kind of have to like uh compartmentalize like your emotions
Yeah.
and what's happening to the performance,
You have to like box it
because
all up for a couple
Yeah.
you
hours.
do you do for sure, because you can't let that get in front of everything, because
Yeah.
you're
That
here,
ruins the
people paid money
yeah.
for the tickets, they're here to see you, you have to perform, you've practiced, and you have essentially an hour just to
Mm-hmm.
to do what you're there to do. And no matter what else is happening around you, like you have to kind of just dial in.
Yeah, yeah. Show
And
must go on.
it was yeah, it was a good learning experience for us when we did that tour, because we
Well,
kind of realized like what it takes, right?
I know for in my radio program we talk about this, or my teacher talks about this all the time. He says, if you're not going to be here, if you're not able to come in, or if you're not able to put on the best show you can, he's like that. I mean, he's like, things happen, guys. People get sick, everything things go wrong, obviously. He's like, but the show must go on, and that's the way you got to look at it, right? He's
That's
like,
it.
he's
Yeah.
like, if you're going into any kind of radio, he's like, or music or anything like that, he's like, if you're not able to perform, someone else will come in and take that place. So you got to make sure you're ready to go.
Yeah.
So be ready for when those deadlines come, because it's important, and I
You
think
gotta
that
hit
that
'em.
goes for music as well. You got to be able
Yeah.
to kind of box it up
Oh yeah,
and put on a good show.
Yeah.
for sure. It's the entertainment biz.
Yeah. I mean,
Absolutely.
that's just pretty much anything in that sort of
Yeah.
sphere of entertainment. It's a big sphere.
So yeah, I mean, we could
Uh,
talk about a few of the songs. I mean, Natty, I don't know if
yeah.
you have anyone in particular you want to
I
ask about.
wanna first ask,
Okay.
what's your favorite, like, well, do you have a favorite song that you guys have? Or like a favorite song you
Uh
perform live,
Like
maybe?
picking between children.
I know it's hard.
Like,
It's a hard question. If you don't have one, that's okay.
yeah, I really like Dark Market. Like
okay.
when we wrote that song,
Yeah.
I thought it's very interesting the way we approached it in terms of like uniqueness from everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Like the whole song structure was unique at the time for how we wrote songs.
Definitely
In
sounds
terms of
different.
my drumming, I tried a different approach. Like I learned a shuffle, which I didn't know how to play before that song.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had the song and then I knew I wanted to play a shuffle in it, and I had to learn how to play a shuffle and then feel comfortable playing a shuffle and then adapt the shuffle to the song. So that whole like process was a learning experience. I think it fits it well, and just like the progression of that song kind of has everything that I like. Like I like being soft and
Yep.
have these like subtle hits and then going into like, a heavy backbeat and then also having this like chaotic kind of build and just kind of like rhythmically driven back end. Like that's the whole song kind of goes through that those different environments. So I really do enjoy playing that song and people tend to receive it well when we play it live.
Yeah.
So did you say that's your favorite song to play live, or is there?
Yeah, that would definitely be my favorite song. There's other songs too that I enjoy playing, but that song is definitely my favorite.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's super cool.
Well, yeah, I know Natty has some of the songs written down that he wanted to ask about in terms of like I guess where they started or where the idea came from. So
one of them was what is it? I kind of want to go in order. Raised by Love. Do you know anything about that song? That was one of my
Raised by Love
on Cigar Club EP. But yeah.
So yeah, Raised by Love was on the EP.
Yeah.
I think it was track 2, maybe?
Track
I don't know. Yeah, track 2. So that was a song that Dan wrote. And so when I joined the band, they had certain songs written already.
Okay.
But not written to how they're recorded on the EP per se.
Okay.
So they like came to me with like Miss Jane, and they came to me with like Holly White, I think, and maybe Raised by Love. And there was like already like pre-written drum parts to those songs. And then I just kind of like did my own adaptation to it.
You're like, this was like, yeah, I'm gonna do my own thing.
Yeah, like I remember Miss Jane was really chill. Like this is obviously separate from Raised by Love, but I just remember like as an example, Miss Jane was like very chill, and I came in with like more of like a rocking backbeat, right? So Raised by Love. So Raised by Love was this song that Dan had, and I remember when he brought it to the band, it was like very bluesy, like it was like very like Jimi Hendrix based. I remember it being, and I don't think it was very collaborative when we wrote it. I think it was a song that he wrote specifically, and he brought to us, and it was essentially already all together. It was just a matter of me learning the drum part or learning like all the nuances to it, right? There wasn't much in the writing of that song. If we wanted to dive more into it, we'd have to give Dan a call to dissect his brain.
Yeah. Was there was that with like a lot of the EP songs from there were more of that sort of feeling that you got from it?
Yeah, like the EP songs specifically were more they were kind of already written by members. So like it was either Trevor or Dan that wrote the songs. And then as we moved into Day Now, it started to become more collaborative. Just because when I joined, they already had songs, right?
Yeah, they already had everything done. So like,
we went through the back end, and then we started like releasing the songs that we like collaboratively created. But yeah, Raised by Love, just to kind of give you, I guess my insight on it was like I was saying, it was like kind of like I envisioned it as like kind of like a Jimi Hendrixy kind of song. So when I wrote the drum line, I kind of pulled from like Mitch Mitchell's and Jimi Hendrix, because at the time, actually, when we first started playing shows, we did cover songs as well because we didn't have enough originals to play a full like 30-45 minute set. So one of the songs we used to do was Fire by Jimi Hendrix. So I took probably some of those like licks and like influence from that song into Raised by Love.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I know. Oh, never mind.
What?
I was going in a conversation in a sentence,
Was there any
and then
other
it
any other
led nowhere.
songs?
There are other songs. I know, what is it? Swimming in Gold is one of the songs that I really enjoy your drum part on. I think I know you guys released a I know you released a video on the Cigar Club YouTube channel
Oh
that
yeah.
is like your drumming, and I was watching it and I was just like, wow. And I'm sure it's not just that song, but that was one I was
I
wondering if
always
you could
liked
talk
like
about.
Flats in Winter.
We'll
I
get
like I
there.
like that song. Sorry,
Yeah,
keep going.
we'll get there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
talk about
Come
Swimming in
on
Gold
now.
too.
Come
Talk about
on.
Swimming
All
in Gold.
right.
As the Viber slap man.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, sure. We'll get there. We'll talk about the vibe slap.
Oh man.
we'll get
Okay.
there.
Start
Yeah.
with Swimming in
So
Gold.
Yeah.
Swimming in Gold. Yeah. So that was a cool song. From what I remember, well, first of all, thank you for watching the video and
Yeah.
complimenting my drum part. I appreciate that. That
Yeah.
song specifically, I wrote, and I was like, I want somebody to struggle trying to play this song.
Yeah.
Like,
I was
it was just like,
looking
I
at
just
it.
want
I'm like,
to. Yeah, that's a good example of like my metal background
yeah.
coming into play. So like really heavy, driven, fast.
Yeah.
And at the time too, we were playing Queens of the Stone Age
There you go.
as some of the cover songs. So that was influenced by "Song for the Dead" by Queens of the Stone Age. So Dave Grohl's drumming.
Yeah.
But yeah, that song specifically, Dan came up with the riff, not the verse riffs or the chorus riff, but that guitar riff. It's like da 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 boom 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 da da da. He
Yeah.
just had that riff, and it was kind of like this crazy Van Halen-y riff that he had that he just continuously like played in practices. It wasn't part of anything at all.
Yeah.
And I just kind of kept telling him, I was like, we got to make that into something. Like, I don't know what it's going to be, but it's really
It's gotta be
cool. And I
something.
think
For a lot of
it's
great
got to
songs
be
come from
something,
that.
right?
Yeah.
It's always
So
the warm-up riff.
yeah, it's always just like the random riff. I think like Sweet Child of Mine was a riff like that too. That Slash was just playing, and then their producer or whoever was like, "You got to make that a song." But he was just like screwing around.
Yeah, and I think he hates that riff
But
too.
yeah, exactly. So it's like it just was one of those riffs, and Trevor ended up actually taking the riff, and then we were playing around with it at a practice, and then he went home and he essentially structured the whole thing. Like we put multiple things together in that practice, and then he went home and then he recorded like a 6-minute version of the song. And then
Wow.
at our next practice, we filtered it down. So there was like certain parts where like, okay, I don't think this should be that long. I think we should cut it. I think we should do this, this, and that. And then we came up with a structure. And then on that structure, we added lyrics.
Yeah.
And it was just Trevor who wrote the lyrics on that. And yeah, my whole thing with the drums was just like I wanted to be fast. I wanted to be driving, and I wanted to almost be like it was the one song in the riff where I kind of had the freedom to play something kind of metal because everything else that we wrote at that time didn't have the speed and like the power behind it like that song and that riff does. So I was able to kind of pull from like Megadeth and Metallica and Queens of the Stone Age too, like Dave Grohl's drumming and kind of make this like heavy hitting song.
Yeah.
And I do remember too when we went to the studio, they were Darren McGill, who was the recording engineer at the time. He always said that song was like balls to the wall. That's what he would say. He's like, this song's balls to the wall, like balls to the wall. Like, okay, this is balls to the wall.
Yeah, what a saying. Yeah. I know what I'm gonna spend the next couple months learning on the drums.
Oh man. Good luck.
That'd be cool if you do that. Send it to me. I want to see that.
Yeah, definitely. I know I've played Cottage Bound before.
He has played Cottage. Yeah, he does. He plays drums on stream.
Women in Gold. I'm coming for you.
Yeah, good luck.
Right on.
Anyway, now, TG,
all right. Now we can talk about
like Flats in Winter,
yeah.
and
that's
your debut
and my debut in Cigar Club. Yeah,
that
was a fun day. Actually, I had a lot of fun that day. It was actually one of the things that really got me into like sound engineering. It was the first time I was in a real studio, obviously, and yeah, it was just funny. But I've just always liked that song in general. So
what do you like about the song?
The instrumental part, I think. I mean, like the lyrics are all great, but I think for me, it's that obviously
the vibra slap
is good. I love my part in it. No, I'm just gonna glaze myself here. No, but it's like that in between part. The bridge. Thank you. And it's that part where like the bongos kick in and like the shaker.
Yeah.
It's that part, like the build back up to the. I don't know, and then the whole instrumental is it's really well done. So it was well produced. Really, yeah. Great way of putting it. Yeah, it has a really great aura to it. So where did that start? Where did that idea come, and where to be like, okay, we're gonna make this really complex bridge here? Where did that come from?
Yeah, from what I remember, Trevor had that was Trevor's song.
Okay.
And when we were recording Day Now, that song was not on the table. That song actually was written in the process of us recording Day Now.
Yeah.
And then at the end of us recording everything else, we wanted to add one more song. And then so we added that song. And that song was actually recorded in a different studio than the rest of the songs that were recorded on Day Now.
Yep.
Actually, Alone was also recorded in a different studio as well. So there's 3 different studios that we recorded in on that album. But so Trevor came with that song, and he had it laid out. From what I remember, he had it completely finished. And so we came in with with each of our minds, and initially it was okay, we're going to come in and we're all going to come in one at a time, right? So Trevor's going to sing, and then I'm going to come in with the drums, then the bass is going to come in, and then Dan's going to come in on his. And so if you listen to the beginning of that song, it slowly builds. Trevor comes in, right? I come in with the drums, then the bass comes in, and then Dan comes in with his little riff, the and then we all kind of progress through the song. It had this heavier chorus to it, which was really cool. And at the time, we were listening to this band called Cleopatra, and they had this this kind of really gritty, grungy theme to their music, and they were actually part of this scene called the New Rock Mafia. So that was kind of the New Rock Mafia sound at the time, and we actually wanted to kind of make a song similar to that scene. So that was kind of our adaptation to that, or at least the way that I understand the way that song was written and developed. In terms of the middle part of that whole bridge and breakdown, it wasn't initially thought that that's how it was going to go. It was just kind of this build up and this dancey kind of bass.
Yeah.
It was bass driven, right? When Jeff came up with that riff. But as soon as he started playing that, I had this idea of a Latin dance percussion concept. And so I just like had this in my head, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do so. Like when we record this song, I'm gonna do a percussion break in this section. And everybody was like, yeah, that's cool. So I had to like kind of experiment and research, because I had this idea in my head, but I didn't really know how I was going to execute it. I just knew I was like, there has to be claves. There's got to be like some bongos. It just has to sound like Latin. And I actually reached out to my buddy at the time, Mateen, and Mateen was at school for music performance. I think he went to Queens or Kingston. What was it? What are those two universities? Queen's University, and then there's school, London. I forget what it is.
Cannot remember.
Anyways, he was going to school for music performance, and he was doing percussion.
Yeah.
So I actually reached out to him. I was like, "Hey, like I have this idea. Can you help me record this? Because I don't want to necessarily record it solo, like with individual tracks. I want to like do something together, like we're in like music class, like how we used to jam back in music class, where like I would do a beat and then you're adding on top of my beat. So that's kind of how that like progressed. Like I met with him and I brought this like portable recorder, and I was like, "Do you have these percussion instruments we could use?" And he rented these percussion instruments from his music class.
Yeah.
And we were outside. We were literally outside in the campus, and we hit record. And then I had like the idea of like the clave, like cat, 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 cat,
Yeah.
and then we just kind of built off that, and then it became what it is in the album now. And when we recorded that too, I had the idea for Vibraslap, and then I thought that was a good idea to get a Ryder to do the Vibraslap.
I just remember I was in there and he was like, "Yo, do you want to record the Vibraslap?" And I was like, "What?" I was like, "What's that?" They were like,
"It's
"Here,
this thing right here.
Take this, play this."
Yeah.
I was like, "All right." That was a lot of fun that day. That was a lot of fun.
No. All the little percussion doodads things that you can play around with are so cool.
Yeah, and there's the highs and lows in that song are probably the things that are mine. Like it builds and then it goes like it peaks and then it comes down to do the percussion and then it builds again with all the percussion
and then
slowly building up again.
Even more.
Yeah, and then it builds again and then it ends and it's a really well structured song. So
for sure.
That's why I always liked it.
I think there's one more song I wanted to ask about. That was Parable of Sea Dogs.
Oh yeah,
one that I really enjoyed, and I was just wondering what went into that for you.
Yeah, so that song was really interesting. That was also a song where I felt like I could do a lot of like metal driving drum lines. I remember that song was really interesting because so Dan was singing on that track. Like in the LP, Dan sings on 2 of the songs on Day Now, and then Trevor sings on the rest of them.
Yeah.
And so Dan was also singing in Raised by Love, and everything else was sung by Trevor. So Parable of Sea Dogs was one of the 2 tracks on Day Now where Dan was singing. And Dan had that riff, the main riff, and we kind of built off that. And his concept was like the parable of the sea dogs. Like there's no chorus in that song. It's a parable, right? It's like a continuous story of this guy on a ship, and they get lost at sea, and then he comes back and he's like immortal, and kind of like the devil takes a hold of him in a sense.
It's a story song.
Yeah, it's a story, and we got really creative in terms of like the process, and at the end of the song too, that whole ending where it kind of explodes. I remember Trevor was experimenting with some new pedals at the time, and he also had a slide guitar, which was used on that. I don't actually think he used it in the recording process, but he used it live a few times, where he does like the guitar part at the end, and that whole progression actually was like more complex. Is probably one of the more complex things that we wrote on that whole album. I remember we wrote like it was like Trevor wasn't a part of the initial writing process of that ending part, because the way that it works is like it went for 4 bars, and then it would double, and then it would like half of that, so it would be like a double and then a half double, and then there was like a bridge, and then that would repeat again. So it was we like wrote this down. It's like, okay, it's gonna be 4, and then it's gonna be 8, and then it's going to be 16, and then there's going to be this transition, and then it's going to be 4, 8, and then 16.
Yeah.
And so we wrote that out and we practiced it, and then Trevor came to practice, and we're like, and we played it, and he's like, okay, like you guys have to explain this to me because I just can't, like I can't grasp it just by listening. Yeah, you got to actually break this down.
It's crazy, yeah. It's all over.
Yeah, so we had like a really fun time writing that song, and it was just like very experimental. It was just something we wanted to try out, and we all really had a lot of fun putting all the pieces together on that one.
Yeah, it's a really cool song. Probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite, Cigar Club song that you guys done. It's really cool.
Awesome. That's cool. I actually have like another little piece of information for that song too. So when we play it live, Dan actually sings this additional lyric at the end of the song. So like in that progression, he actually had this line that he sang in the studio. And at the time, our producer told him that he should just cut it. And so he just cut it. It didn't make the album or whatever. But every time we play it live, we actually sing that part. So like Dan sings his lyric on that, which is like a little treat you get when you come see us live. It's not something you're gonna hear on the album, but you're gonna hear like the more real version of the song. And honestly, like looking back now, I wish we would have kept it in there because it just makes sense. But at the time we just were unsure, and we kind of listened to his guidance, and either way it's great, but I think we should have probably kept it as it was.
I get ya.
100%. Well, I think that pretty much covers most things. But we got to ask first. I know I saw on Instagram. I know you guys aren't really playing live anymore for the rest of the year, right? If I'm not wrong.
Yeah, we're taking a break from playing live shows, and we're focusing on writing a bunch of new stuff. We have so many songs, man. Like the process of writing songs, like we have like no shortage of ideas. Our problem is kind of just like picking one of those things and then really like laying it all out. It seems like our ideas come so fast and so quick, and we're on to the next one. It's like we really have to dedicate time to like dissect those ideas. And now we have this growing library. And so now we have to refine these songs, and that takes a lot of time. And we have a bunch of songs that are coming out that we're sitting on right now. So we're kind of just letting that roll out. We're going to focus on writing the music. And then once, all that stuff comes out and we have some new songs to play, then we're going to start playing live again.
So does that mean there's going to be a future album?
There is a future album.
Yeah, okay. Do you know when we can expect new stuff? Like,
yeah. So it's coming out. I think I think like every month we're trying to put something out that's new.
Okay. All right.
So I think less than a month ago we put out some live songs.
Yep.
Yeah.
From a live album that's going to be coming out. When we did, I guess we haven't put out a new single since, but when we released Dark Market and Ocean Potion, that's actually part of this larger album that we recorded.
Yeah.
And so that's going to be coming out at the same time with this live album.
Okay.
We actually have music videos that we created for Dark Market and Ocean Potion that are animated, and they're finalized now. So we have these animated music videos for those songs.
Really?
That kind of give you this like visual.
That's kind of cool.
The visual aspect of the song is really cool.
Yeah.
It's really, really cool. And so those are going to be coming out. We're going to have the live songs coming out, and then all these new songs are also going to come out. And that's probably, I want that all to happen in the next 6 months.
Wow.
But it's all slowly coming out. It's all done.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of rolling it out.
Absolutely.
Bright future for Cigar Club.
Awesome.
Pal. I'm excited to see where all that stuff goes.
Yeah.
You gained a new fan in Natty Ducks, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I already ordered merch.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. I was like, all right, I'll buy something.
Tell me about this yesterday. That's awesome.
I was hoping it'd come before the podcast, but it hasn't.
You wear it on the episode. Yeah.
I know.
Wear it in a different episode.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well,
yeah.
we're kind of getting into an hour here, so we can wrap up a little bit. But before we wrap up, we want to kind of throw the mic to you if you want to promote anything or let anybody know where they can get updates. We'll put links in the descriptions.
Well, you can follow us on Instagram or YouTube or TikTok or Facebook.
Yep.
If you search Cigar Club Music, will come up, or Cigar Club Band, we should come up. Our actual handles, I think, it's either Cigar Club Band or Cigar Club Music. It's not all one thing, so there's Cigar Club on Instagram. There's Cigar Club Band, I think, on TikTok. So we'll line it all up there.
And you got the website as well, which we can put down there as well, which has everything.
Also, if you go to Cigar Club Music, I think that's what it is. Is it Cigar Club Music? Yeah, Cigar Club Band. So if you go to our website there, everything is there.
Yeah.
So you can check out the live stuff. You got the music. You got the videos. Oh, you can join the club if you want some exclusive videos.
Yeah.
And yeah, all our live shows will be posted up there.
That's really cool.
Awesome.
Did we forget something?
I think we may have we forgot to bring Slater or Jason.
Yeah.
Sorry, we always seem to forget about him. Episodes. Sorry to Slater. We ran out of time. We'll get you next episode.
Ran out of time. We'll get you next time though, for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for coming on. Thanks for coming on, Ty. It's an honor.
No
honor to have you on.
Pleasure meeting you. And thanks for coming on the podcast.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everyone for listening or watching if you're on YouTube to this episode of the ATG podcast. Make sure to go check out Cigar Club on all their socials down in the description.
Yeah.
And we'll be back in 2 weeks for another episode. So thank you guys for listening. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, do all that stuff, and we'll talk to you later.
Yeah. Bye.
Peace.
Peace.